Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Weekly DLC. I'm one of your hosts, Karosh, joined always by my co-host, Daniel Vargas.
Wahoo!
And birthday boy, Daniel Jang.
For the glory of mankind.
Happy birthday!
Oh, what the? That was unnecessary because you already bought dinner for me. Holy shit!
I saw it coming
It's
from
not
your
just
mouth.
like one. It's not just one thing.
Holy shit.
Hey,
This is the most important-
Twitch for
is the most-
dummies, dude.
This is the
Got him.
This is the most important one, dude. Holy shit! Dude. Wow. Wait, we need to buy a podcasting for dummies. 30. We need to get that.
Oh my gosh.
Celebrate the magic.
So that was from when, I thought you'd like it. It was from when I went to the Florida Harry Potter. So it's
Nice.
straight from Universal, Florida.
Ooh, straight out of Florida. Dude, that's a lot of shit, dude. the thing
rightful
that never
king.
the thing that never happens. Nice. I don't have this.
Okay.
This guy's cool. Trevor Noah.
I saw his Hot Ones recently.
That's a crazy
Thing
title.
is, I have this.
You have that. There's a gift receipt. There's a gift receipt.
Okay. You should read this book.
There was two, and I was like, I know he's read the other one.
Cool. Thank you, dude.
Happy birthday.
You've got it signed too, right?
Yeah, I have it signed. No, it's Obama's.
You gotta get it signed again.
Obama's recommendation. It's hard to get his signature, dude. It's like one of the hardest signatures to get. This guy.
Okay. Happy birthday.
Thank you, dude. Another year older and less wiser. But thanks to the Twitch for
The
Dummies.
Twitch for Dummies.
I got it, dude.
Twitch is his city.
Shit.
I should bring this to the event.
I get everyone. Guys, I'm ready. I figured it all out. I got this book.
There's probably useful information. There has to be.
Oh,
I just read Don't Quit Your Day Job. Don't quit your day job just yet. Getting good. Wow. This is important.
Yeah.
Getting good at multitasking and responding to chat. Very, very important.
Drop that knowledge.
I think that's the most important thing in streaming. But thank you. We old.
So you read it in one day and return it with.
It's pretty cool. I didn't know they made this.
I saw it. I was like, I gotta get.
I read how like that whole series of books started happening. It's the owner, like he needed help with something. He's like, there's no one to go to, and like this internet wasn't a huge thing then, and so he literally created what he needed for dummies, and from there that it just blew up, and he just started making. Well, not that he made it, but it turned into a franchise for him, and now he's got dummies for Twitch, dude, or Twitch for dummies.
There's some good info in there.
This is actually really. I'm like going through it. And it's not bad, dude. Some of the information is pretty cool.
So if you're not familiar with what we do, we come to you each and every week. Podcasting services are your choice.
Dun, dun.
And we start on a table. We usually have some nerdy conversation, Game of Thrones, Twitch, video games, everything in between. And we have fun. We hope you have fun with us. This is episode 133. He's getting knowledge already.
He's like, we're done with the stream. I need to read this.
What? Yeah.
He's way to it, dude. That's a perfect gift, dude. That's funny.
Episode 133. What have you guys been up to this week?
I haven't been up to much, man.
No?
Still been on my anime stuff. I think I'm gonna pick up Hulu. Cause there's a lot of animes
Some
where
good
like,
anime on there.
there's like I'll
Yeah,
Google like good animes, and then I'm like, all right, where's this one? And like everything that I already subscribed to doesn't own it, so I will. So I look it up, and it's like Hulu has it. I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I'll look up another one, like Hulu has it. Oh my gosh, dude! One Punch Man.
Yeah, it's on
season
Hulu.
2 only on Hulu.
Yeah, I found out recently. I was like, wait, it was on Netflix.
Yeah, well, season 1's on Netflix.
Yeah.
But season 2 is exclusive to Hulu for now. It's probably like a timed exclusive. Fucking Sony, man. But yeah. So I'm like, I think I'm gonna get Hulu probably. I didn't want to add another subscription. I was hoping to cancel one.
Yeah.
And replace it with one, but
I'm in a similar boat right now. I want to get rid of YouTube TV.
Mm-hmm.
I literally only have it to finish Legion, and I've put off finishing Legion. So I just got back to Legion now. I'm like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
This is.
Do you guys still have HBO?
Yeah. That is actually, I feel like a good. There's a lot of good shit. On there.
I don't know. I feel like I'm a cheater with HBO.
No.
I don't know how this happened, but we have it for free as part of like a bundled deal. And you know how normally it's like 3 months?
Yeah, his
Ours
name is
has
Daniel.
been free, and it's been like a year at this point. So like, yeah, it shows
It's
like
billing someone.
It shows you get billed for it, and then you get a credit. It says HBO credit of, and then the exact same amount that we got billed for it. So I have that.
Oh, cool.
And what else have I been doing? Preparing myself for World of Warcraft Classic, dude.
When is it out? I thought it was out.
No, it's next week. It's
I
Tuesday.
know, right? Yeah. Both of us worked really hard on it.
You look like a happy kid when he like
finally-
grabbed his phone. You're like, oh, me too.
I know. We'll celebrate
him.
later. We'll celebrate later. Okay, bye. I love you too.
Celebrate. I love you too. I
thought
mean,
it was out.
No, it's out Tuesday.
Oh, this week? This coming
This
week?
coming week.
Okay,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, because they reset everything on Tuesdays. Like if you're playing and you do
I see,
dailies
I
and
see.
stuff, everything gets reset. So that's usually when new stuff comes out. So hit up my old buddies, Alan.
Oh, I
And
thought you were gonna
so
say
we
Mark.
chose. Well, he's part of that same group, but I haven't hit him up. We chose a server already. Some coworkers, I tried to get them into it too, but they're like, "Oh no, we want to play." So in Classic, you weren't allowed to play both sides. If you chose one side on that server, you're only allowed to play that one side. I can't make another an alliance
on
character
that
if
server.
I make I can go to a different server and start differently. So I was trying to get them on that server. And I'm like, are you guys playing Horde or Alliance? They're like, Alliance. I'm like, well, choose a different server then, because I won't be able to play with you guys if you play on the same server. So they're going to choose a different server, and then I'll probably play with them on the Alliance, and I'll play with the other guys on Horde. So good
Exciting.
times. Good times.
What's the first races on either side you're gonna?
So there's only like 4.
So for Horde,
Horde, you got Orc, Undead, Tauren, and Trolls.
okay, what are you gonna go?
I'm going with Undead Mage.
Okay, other side.
The other side has humans, dwarves, gnomes,
Elves.
and yeah, dark elves or
Night elves.
Night elves.
Where are you gonna go?
On that one, actually, I haven't figured it out yet.
Do you know what class?
No, so it might be a cloth. So I might go healing priest.
Okay.
I don't know what character yet.
Okay.
But it's very so. There are some skills that each race has that are kind of important, and so I think it's you have to choose wisely, and then on top of that, I don't know, like there's just like I feel like now with all the newer content, like you're like max level 120, it doesn't really matter who you choose. Like most of the stats kind of balance out at the end of it, but at this one, like it kind of matters.
Okay.
Like you don't want to be a certain race and be a certain class because it doesn't. It'll still work for you, but it doesn't mesh well. It doesn't like it just doesn't benefit itself essentially.
It blows my mind that Warcraft has been able to get to the point now where they've just make expansions off of this game that's over 10 years old, and they're literally
Restart.
giving you the beginning pack of the game, and people are, it's like,
It's
yeah.
nostalgia, man.
I'm like,
It's powerful.
Well, I think they took a smart route because
So yeah, the way they framed it.
they did a smart route. Like obviously, people were asking for it to the point where they created their
Yeah.
own servers. They just took the original. They took the game, removed all the expansions, and kept that base. But it like there's always updates to the newer games, so they can't make the base game perfect the way it was originally. And so
So is this classic gonna stay classic, or is it gonna gradually add expansions to it?
So from what I've heard, at least from my friend, I haven't like looked into it, but my buddy said that it seems like they're gonna slowly integrate expansions again. So it's like you're starting all over again from the beginning, dude.
Harder to plan.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, they created this, and you don't have to buy it. Like if you
it's
have
part
a
of your
subscription,
subscription.
yeah, you get it. So I don't know if like let's say like someone that doesn't have an account never had an account, if they just because you can buy the base game without expansions for like $15. It'll come with like I think free game time. So I don't know if you can do that and then start playing classic, or if you have to have like I don't know all the expansions or something. But preparing for that next week, and then my life is over probably.
Yeah.
No more anime,
Nice
no more
knowing you.
games, no more podcasts.
He's back.
What? No, hold on. I gotta make a call. What have you been up to, Vargas or Jang?
Saturday, I went to the Atlas art exhibit, and I feel like I know how to make like cool events now. This is all you do, right? Photo booth, photo opportunity.
Oh, keep it for
100%.
the events for dummies, dude.
free alcohol.
Yeah.
That's expensive already.
I mean, he didn't say how much this is gonna cost, but
What was the third thing? Merch, I guess. Yeah.
exclusive.
Yeah, exclusive merch. And I couldn't get exclusive merch.
Like you don't even need like big stuff like the Zelda keychain.
So
it's
felt
just
like the original I'm 8-bit events.
Yeah. Except, yeah. You're.
They
yeah,
didn't have like exclusive.
it's in the daytime.
Usually, yeah.
And I felt like such a phony there.
why?
Because like.
Oh, you hadn't played the game.
I've never played Personas, any of the Personas, and haven't played Catherine. Like I only played like a little bit, and so like people in line, they're like, oh, "Yeah, who's your favorite Persona character?" I was like, the cat
Joker.
So yeah, I felt like such a phony, but I mean, it was cool. They had that food truck that is always there with the Persona food, and there was voice actors there.
Oh, nice.
And I didn't realize it until people were like, "Oh, can I take a picture?" I was like, "Oh shit, that must be a voice actor." I looked it up and I saw it. Yeah, they were voice actors. So.
King confirm.
Nice.
That was cool. It was all right. I wanted a shirt. They only made 60 of these shirts, selling at $38 each, and it sold out.
Limited edition. It'll sell, dude. Doesn't matter. It could have been $40. Or
They could have had 4, and people would have bought them at
Yes.
60 each.
Or $100 each.
Yeah, dude.
Sunday, which was my birthday, I went to Ciclavia, which is like LA. They hold like events 5 times a year. They close down the streets. They actually closed down Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, wow.
That was pretty crazy. It was crazy, dude. Like walking or riding your bike in Hollywood Boulevard. It was a little more crowded than the other ones, but like it was cool. Just I hate people who don't follow like bike rules, and it's like usually kids.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a problem with the kids. It was that dad was bad too. That's why they're just learning from that example. I was like, and the kid crashed into someone in the opposite lane. I'm just like, I'm like 10 feet behind him, like shaking my head. I was like, dude, like, please follow the bike rules. But
Biking for dummies.
yeah, seriously. And then I just had dinner with my dad on my birthday, which
Cool.
I see him like twice a year. he lives too far.
Out in the boonies.
Yeah. And then streaming game wise, I bought Nidhogg and I was playing the shit out of Nidhogg too.
It's a good ass game, dude.
But
Fuck, man.
I need to play with people. I was just playing by myself, but it was still fun.
Is it online?
Yes.
Okay.
I think they do have it online. And I bought something else. I don't remember.
Super
Oh,
hot.
Guacamelee too, because it was on sale. So I don't know if you guys have this on my wish list. I have a shit ton of games on my wish list. I'll get emails saying, "Oh, this game's
Hey.
on sale." That's when I'll buy it. And like Transistor and fucking Bastion is on sale, and I already bought it like for full price. And then it's really cheap. It's like $5 and $4 or something.
Yeah. One of them was $3.99. One
Those
of
are
them was
good
like
deals.
$2.99.
And then near. Oh, I read fucking
Spoiler.
Joe Hill. Dude, he wrote a story called.
Is the book you got at Comic-Con?
No, this is his very first book he's ever made. It's called 20th Century Ghosts.
okay.
He made it before Lock and Key.
Oh.
There's a story called Pop Art, and it's about a kid and an inflatable doll. And that inflatable doll is his best friend. I thought first thing I thought it was like it's going sexual. It is not. And it's a fucking trip. It's a really cool story. It's weird, and I thought it was like, I think people can see it as a metaphor. Maybe the kid wasn't inflatable. It was just his friend, and he just had like a disease. But I took it literally, and the kid couldn't talk, and so he would write messages in crayon. And he's in school writing
I
messages.
feel
in
like the
crayon.
twist is the world is
No,
inflatable people.
There
and
is
the
no,
kid is
there
different.
really is no twist, but the ending is pretty. Like it's made people cry. It didn't make me cry, but I was like, damn, that's pretty sad. It is. I thought it was about depression and like.
And it's just like a short story in this book? Or
Yeah,
that's
it's a
the
short
whole-
story.
okay.
Okay. I'm curious. Pop art.
Pop art. It's actually free. You could find that story online.
Okay. He's a good writer.
I also started reading the new one, the advanced reader copy, and I started formulating my new podcast. So you guys, this is a exclusive. So I was reading Game of Thrones. I stopped reading it because I wanted to do like a podcast where I read something, a chapter, and then just talk about it. I'm gonna get my man card revoked. So whenever I go to a bookstore, whenever you go to a used bookstore, what's the most returned book that you see? There's 2 that pop into my mind.
Like
It
actual-
was loved at the time. I think it still might be loved now, but there's a lot of returns. Like you just see stacks of these like books.
50 Shades of Grey?
That's probably third. But that's my next podcast.
I feel like it's a high school, like To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, dude.
Or Great Gatsby.
Chicken Soup for the Soul?
So the podcast is about
Mice and Men.
Twilight.
Uh,
My man card's gonna get revoked.
It'll be a good
it's already getting revoked.
So yeah, it's gonna be about Twilight. And we're gonna read it chapter by chapter and make the jokes. And
So is it going to be like a once you're done reading all the Twilight books, then the podcast is done?
no, I think I should start it as a
So
journey.
it's like
it's a journey.
Okay, so book upon book upon book
Yeah.
of whatever else you do.
Twilight will be. Shades 50 Shades of Grey will be.
So
season
you said
2.
you're doing a chapter and then an episode on that chapter, essentially?
Yes.
It's like a book club.
It's like I'm not stealing the idea, kind of borrowing Pottermore. There's a guy who read the Harry Potter books like that, where he
Comic
didn't know.
Book Girl did the same.
Okay.
With Dune, like she would say, like the way she'd frame it. She's done 2 so far, and I was hoping for a third, but I don't know.
So Dune was one, right?
She did Dune Messiah, and with both of those, she made packages, and this is something extra that she did because she had a big following. She made packages. People would buy her merch, and then she would send a copy of the book. But even if you didn't get the book, she just made like a reading list, sent it to everyone, said, "Okay, these are the next few weeks. These pages week 1, these pages week 2, and she would do streams where she talked about it, and then they would be pre-recorded in her YouTube.
That's cool.
So week 1, end of the week, she would on Sunday talk about it, and then after the talk about section that would be recorded, saved, then she would do a Q&A session. So people that have never read this and they want to feel, but she had read this several times, so I think that's the way why she had the Q&A. So then she would do that, but then she did 12 weeks of it, and then that was the book. Then she did she did it only on summer. So then the following summer she did Dune Messiah, same thing, set number of weeks, and then.
But you want your thing to be like, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah,
I know
you're-
some things, but
But you're not going
too
in. The
much.
Q&A I think is more catered to her having already like knowledge about it.
Yeah.
But I think everything else is pretty easily transferable in terms of like I'm reading this. Follow me if you want, or watch my videos.
I want to commit to it, even if no one watches it. Like it's something I want to.
It incentivizes people, I think, to read because then it's like I'm sharing this with someone. So I think you got to market.
I don't know. I think I chose the wrong book.
I mean,
I don't think you chose the wrong
you're gonna
book,
get
but
different feedback.
I don't
based
think
on
you
what
should
book.
do like per chapter. I think you should like
per
divide
section.
It. Yeah, divide
like
it.
pages
like
1 to 50 or something.
Well, like be like, I want 6 episodes of Twilight. So then obviously you're going to
Divide the
divide it into 6 different sections. So be like, I can do 3 chapters,
Okay.
or up to a certain
Because
page.
if you do that if I don't know if you're going to maintain that
Right.
framework, but if some books that it's like 3-page chapters,
Exactly.
what are you going to talk about?
Okay.
So
But
then,
then there's
you could just be
fucking-
like over the like. It's going to take some tweaking. I'm sure you'll
Yeah.
go through it of like,
Yeah.
oh, this worked better in this time. This one didn't.
Because how many chapters does fucking one book of Game of Thrones have?
A lot. But the thing is, they're consistent. They're each like 20 pages.
Oh, okay.
Always.
I already have
Always
a title because like
Of the podcast?
yeah, Twilight is like it's not really a podcast, it's more like a YouTube episode, but it's
An experience.
It's young adult, right? And it revolutionized the young adult and to spawn the young adult movement. So it's OA reads YA, old adult reads young adult. The more you know.
Just a rainbow.
OG.
But
reads
that's
YG.
not the only thing. I want to do some more reading, and I want to make like YouTube videos about full books.
You should make merch. We buy books. We don't read them.
You should name the fucking podcast that. We buy books, we don't read them.
I'm not going to mention the name of the top. I did come up with the name. Of my, remember the.
Devil May Poop.
Okay,
I got it. Dude, don't
I
worry
said too
about
much. Okay, we want to do more reading. And
Okay. Let us know when that starts.
it. No,
This-
don't let
this
me know
weekend.
because I'll do
Don't-
this.
don't
one.
Well,
watch,
I mean, in
don't
terms of like first episode out,
don't watch. It's gonna be weird.
it's gonna be weird.
Oh,
Any-
well, go for it. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask, was there anything else?
Saw the Gamescom stuff. Were pretty interesting. Death Stranding. I don't know, man.
So we're going next year.
No.
It's Germany? Fuck, why not?
Death Stranding. I don't know. It's not game like, which scares me. Like Metal Gear Solid. It's weird. The point of the game is not to get caught, but there's gun aspects in it, which makes it fun. And then they started making Metal Gear Solid just less stealth, or you could do stealth, but you can do full on action if you want towards part 4 and 5.
Right.
Death Stranding is, I don't know. I don't know the game part of it.
Okay.
I feel like it goes back to the original though.
Original what?
Like Metal Gear Solid, where it's like it's more focused on don't do much combat, but there is still combat kind of thing, as we've seen too. Hitting people with the
If you were to
briefcase.
predict a Metacritic score, because we did this with what, Spider-Man? 89.
If it's good, we're going to see a 93. I
it's
think
good,
it's going to
I'm
be.
saying
I think
98.
it's going to be like a 85.
I'm gonna go 74.
Wow.
I think it like this is Metacritic. I think it'll be like a cool experience, but I think it's gonna push people. They're like, "What is this?" And it'll grow. Like it'll still get the initial wave and stuff, but I feel like that's gonna like people that have never played a Kojima game are gonna be like, "What? What is this?" Like it's for his loyalists more than it is for.
I saw a tweet where some guy he's like, I've learned more about this game in 2 paragraphs than I have ever, and so he retweeted like a picture of it, and the guy's explaining that it's like you're playing a main character who is going from the East Coast to the West Coast of the United States to connect communications.
Yeah.
And he's like, but he's not the first one. Someone else has tried this. And they've lost, like they've been lost. No one knows where they're at, and the connection hasn't been complete. So then he's following that same path to complete this communication.
All right, I'm gonna say 79. I'm gonna change it based on that.
Based on that, the thing is, like, I don't know, like people that have played it.
Have they played it? Who's played it?
Well, at Gamescom,
Oh, it's playable there?
is it playable?
I don't think it's playable.
I guess I
People
think
have played it, but just
Behind closed doors.
Yeah. You see pictures.
Yeah.
But people have said good things about it. There's a couple that said good things. Like they're like, "Oh wow, this is an amazing game." Like,
Okay.
oh, also, we finished Visage, Chapter 1. Fuck that game. So in that game, you're not supposed to be in the dark. The ghost at a certain point in the game in Chapter 1 breaks all the light switches. You're in the dark
the whole time.
the whole time in Chapter 1. And so you have this camera. That's your only source of light. And it flashes. And so there are moments where the ghost is right in front of you. You don't see it until you flash the light. Fuck that game. And then there's like moments where like you can't see writing on the wall, but like when you take a picture, there's like arrows like telling you to go this way. I'm like, oh no. Yeah.
Yeah. no
Scary,
thanks.
scary,
I tried
scary.
watching you stream. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, there was a viewer that
You were like filling a tub, and it's like, what's gonna happen when the tub's full? I was like, I ain't staying around to find out.
there was a viewer that was watching. He's like, dude, I can't watch this. Like, it's too intense right now. Like, I was like, fuck, lost viewers. But it was my second most successful stream. But soon
You're gonna learn.
We'll have
you
more.
gonna learn.
We're gonna have more, dude.
It's cool that they use the purple because it's normally just the black and yellow.
Black and yellow.
That's
For me, what did I do? I watched a lot of TV. I watched some Mindhunters, which we'll get into more later. But it is. I don't know if you guys seen any of the first season.
Nope.
It's a show on Netflix, produced and kind of like creatively headed by David Fincher.
oh,
And I can see a lot of his hands in that because it got a lot of vibe of the Zodiac
Oh yeah.
and I believe Seven. Like that, it's just got an eeriness to it, but in like a televised series. So for those that don't know, Mindhunters is about the beginning of when the FBI starts like, how do we catalog and think about serial killers and what those types of criminals are and understand them. So this one of the feds it wants to understand them better, and they believe that they can do that by talking to captured serial killers. And you, through the show, you meet many well-known serial killers, but through these interviews, and it's tense. It's like very, but then also they're out on cases trying to figure things out. They're like, how can we take the knowledge we've learned and apply it to what we're facing right now?
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have it's an interesting narrative, and it kind of like it explores a lot of ideas. Really fun. I mean, it's very freaky. It's not a good show to watch late at night, which I did, and I was like, why did I do that? But it's very interesting, very good show. Season 2 is really good. They said so what interesting thing about season 2 was the actor that was in that portrayed Charles Manson in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood portrayed him to an even further extent in this. Oh, wow. And like in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, there was very little makeup aesthetics. It was just a little bit of facial hair. This one, they fully they were like, you are him now. And they were like, yeah, it was freaky sitting across
tattoos?
him. Yeah. And like, he doesn't have, to be fair, he doesn't have a big presence in this season, but it's a very interesting encounters. Several others that I won't go into. But so I watched that. What else did I do? Played some more Destiny. I'm kind of like this summer, the Solstice thing. They have to do 3 for each character. You have to get the armor, and it's just a fucking grind. I was gonna try and go all 3. I don't know if I will, but the reason that I would be because when I do it, I can just watch a show. I don't really have to think. So it's helping me watch shows. And so I've gotten back to watching Legion. And I feel like Legion is one of the most Grant Morrison-like shows of all time. With Grant Morrison being a comic writer who's very like out there. Legion like captures a lot of like that Matrix vibe with this weird, just like otherworldly like narrative. And it's hard to follow a lot of times, but it's just very captivating to where you're like, I don't know what's going on, but I want to keep watching. Like they just have a presence about them.
It's so captivating that they're gonna come out with Matrix 4, dude.
Yeah, dude. Get hype. Yeah, I'm curious how that'll be. But yeah, Legion I think has finished with its 3rd season, so I'm just like I'm midway through season 2 and I'm catching up to finish it. And then what else? Yeah, Destiny. I played a little bit more. I need to get back into Fire Emblem. I upgraded my Switch. They did that whole model thing.
Yeah.
And it was pretty straightforward. You just got to know going into it what to prepare. So like have all of this stuff you're going to trade in, have your accounts backed up. Like I made sure all my game saves were backed up and everything. Make sure you don't forget your memory card. Like that's the thing I could easily see people doing because they're just like, oh, take it. Oh, shit. And then see if the store is willing to do it, if they're willing to facilitate that. So it makes it a little bit easier to just do the trade there. It didn't take, and have a hotspot. That's the last thing I'll say is like you'll need a Wi-Fi hotspot because there's some things it needs to connect to and everything. But I like the hardware. I haven't really tested it too much on portable, but the hardware itself, one thing I was telling you guys before was the kickstand is much more secure, like night and day difference almost. Yeah, so. That's been my week. Let's get into topics.
Let's do it.
All right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sure. So mine, there is a announcement of a Sony patent for the PlayStation 5, essentially, and then it was. I would say it's still technically a rumor. I mean, it hasn't been like 100%.
I mean, the patents for sure. But what that is
exactly.
for.
But people have been saying, and even someone said like this is the model that the developer kit looks like apparently, and it's just a very strange dimension. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's just a very strange looking console.
Irregular.
Which got me thinking like would a console like the design of a console cause you to still want to get that console or maybe even choose a different console versus another one depending on just design of how the console would look like essentially. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yes. Yes, it would have an impact.
Yeah.
The original DS looks like shit. And I hated the look of it. Never looked appealing to me. Mm-hmm. When I saw the DS Lite, I was like, they figured it out. It's like the packaging was right, like everything made sense.
Yeah.
in addition to an already growing library of games, which was the main drawing point, but just like the feel of it was like that one. Though the original DS was just too the other direction for me to like be like, nah, I can't.
What about you, Jay?
I don't really care about the design, but controller design is very important. And controller's got to feel right.
Yeah.
Like, remember, PlayStation had that. I mean, that design,
boomerang
that
looking
big boomerang, and I was like, please don't make it that.
Yeah.
They didn't make it that.
I would say, I mean, to your credit and to kind of like what my point is, I think handhelds, it is much more of a factor, and it goes in line with what the controller is because it's like it is the controller.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to like a home console, I don't think much. I mean, the only time I maybe was like the original Xbox One, you had to get the Kinect with it, and it had this giant like block of a power supply. And I'm just like, man, that's a lot of like big shit.
Yeah.
And so that might be a thing, but otherwise, I don't think anything else has really been like I care.
Yeah.
Like a GameCube was a different shape. The N64 was a little different. I don't like. I'm just.
But you
like,
think those weird designs is what wanted you to get that?
I don't think it played much of a factor for me. Like I just was like, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Like whatever. But when it becomes like, it interferes with other aspects. Like I'm not doing anything to this unless I'm going and changing discs, or if those if the interfacing with it becomes a thing.
Yeah.
That's where it would become. But I can't think of anything. I'm trying to.
Well, like,
do you have any?
Well, because I'm thinking back, like, if I were, like, let's say they come out with a brand new Xbox, but it somehow ends up looking like the original Xbox. It's just this giant, clunky, really cheap plastic X on top kind of thing. I don't think it would sway me. Like, it wouldn't sway me not to buy. Like,
you wouldn't back away from it if you were wanting an Xbox.
Yeah, exactly.
But would you pick a different Xbox instead of it?
Obviously, if they have options, probably. I mean, if they had different styles,
so it's not
if
doing
that's the only
anything for
one.
you.
It's I that's how I thought of it. Like if I go back in time and had to pick that box, even though I know what it's going to look like in the future, I'd be like, no, because if it has current software, I don't mind. Like,
so here's a question. I think, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've answered, but let's say you're at a store, you want to buy an Xbox, so you're in that mindset. And they're like, I'm sorry, all we have is this model. And everything, all the specs inside are the same as any other Xbox model, but it's that one. And you don't care for it, but you're like, I could try one or two more stores, but it would require me driving around a little bit more. Or you just get this one and call it a day. What do you do?
I think if it's 3 standard models and that's the only one they have option left, I'll take that one. If it's a type of like, there's limited editions and those are the ones that they're out, I would probably choose the limited edition ones.
It's just this one.
I'm referring like overall, like if there's 3 basic models, I don't mind choosing the one that they have there and then, like the only one that they have. I'm not going to go out of my way to try to get any of the other ones. Okay. But if the other 2 were like limited edition ones, I probably wouldn't want to get that average one, and I'd want to get one of the more editions. I go out of my way. So like in that aspect, I do that. But if it's just whatever. If they're those are all regular editions that they're releasing, I don't care. I'm gonna get that one. Okay.
What do you think of let's talk about what you brought up now, the PS5. Have you seen it? Mm-hmm. What do you guys think of? Like, would you get that based on what it looks right there as is?
I would.
Would it deter you?
I don't think it would deter me. It would suck dust wise. Because that shit had a shit ton of crevices.
Like you could put a foot in it. I don't know why. There's that middle part.
I would
wait because I usually don't buy first gen consoles. I usually wait till unless I take that back. There has to be an exclusive game that comes out that makes me want to buy that system. That's what I usually wait for.
Uncharted 6.
Yeah, I would buy it. Maybe.
Last of Us 3.
Yeah, I would buy it. Yeah.
Okay.
Usually, I don't know, my general understanding of first generation consoles, there's always problems. No matter what company.
I feel like I've been fucked over every time.
There's always problems.
I bought the original PlayStation, the one that could do like not the original, the PlayStation 4?
2 backwards compatible.
PlayStation 3 backwards compatible. The big oval looking one.
Yes.
And that shit died out like within like a year. It like yellow lighted or whatever. I still actually own that one, and then I just ended up buying a new PlayStation 3 model or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I bought that one because it had the backward compatibility. But then it like, I don't know what happens, but hardware wise, it ends up burning out and then it doesn't work anymore.
Was your Switch a first gen? Oh, the first gen Switches had problems too. Like I remember.
I didn't have too many. Like I did have issues, and that was kind of like when I traded it in. I was like, because it wasn't game breaking. It was just irritating. So for instance, whenever I started playing on mobile, like I'm just go on like in parking lot or wherever, the fan I could audibly hear my switches like. I was like. Is there some stuck in there? And it would stay, and then it would go after like 20 minutes. And I was like, I mean, it's not heating up, it's not doing anything else. It just gets loud.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, that's a little weird. But I've had it for I don't know 2 years or so. Other than that, I haven't had really any issues. And one of my friends did have an issue with his Joy-Con. Like it was more than just the drift. It was like it wasn't even responding, and they gave him a new one within a week. So. I've had a pretty good care with my first one. I think this one looks fine. It's gonna be good.
Your PS2s, how many have you gone through?
I never had a PS2.
Oh, okay.
I still have my N64 though. That was like original.
My 2 fatty PS2s had problems.
Really?
And they weren't first generation.
Yeah.
The disc reader shit.
I've not had an issue with my PS4 or PS2.
My PS4 is like original PS4. It just gets loud.
I think mine's original too, and it's actually in my sister's room. She used to play it. What were we playing at night? I remember what game like she was playing but she hasn't touched it since. So it's like just in her room. But I know like the last time we used it, which was like less than a year ago, it was working. Still. Alexi, she still has. She uses PS3 Netflix, which is apparently they're gonna stop.
What?
I think. Yeah.
Dang.
But she uses her PS3 like I know it's on its last legs. Her PS3.
My PS3 kind of works still. I had to use it to use my HD Metal Gear Solid collection, but we had to open it up, dust it out, adjust some of the circuits to like voltage fix. And
That's
stuff.
funny.
It was weird, but it worked.
Yeah. Hers is probably a dust issue too. Who knows? But I mean, I feel like most first edition stuff, I feel like I've always been screwed over.
I think I'd be in the same boat as Jang. If there was like an exclusive that came out, and if it was reasonable, like I'm not spending, I would have a limit as to how much
Not
I'd be
like
getting.
an extra $200 or whatever.
Well, I mean, just like I remember the PS3 came out with $600, and then it went down to $300. I don't know if I would spend $600 for a console or for what it was offering. If it was like, hey, we're giving you VR, we're giving you online, we're giving you, I'm like,
I was a college kid living on my own in Arizona. I bought myself a $600 fucking PS3.
hey, power to you. For me at that time, I couldn't afford online services.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, PS3 Slim, and I get PSN for free. I don't have to pay for Xbox Live to play online. This is the route I got to go. And I went with that.
Yeah.
So. Cool. You want to get into my topic?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So I was talking about Mindhunters, not Manhunter. Mindhunters.
Manhunter's a good show.
What is that's a show?
Yeah, it's like 2 guys on horses. You're supposed to like they're trackers, and they can see like you're in the woods. They can see where you've gone through, and then they chase you.
Huh.
I was thinking
Oh,
about
actually, it's called Man Tracker.
I was thinking about the game Manhunter.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Manhunt.
Yeah, Manhunt, the freaking super ass gory game.
Yeah. All right. I want to take a quick pause.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention one last thing I did. I want to bring up.
What'd you do?
I have been regularly doing hot yoga now.
Ooh.
For like a month.
I feel like that has to suck. I hate heat.
I
feel
hate
like-
heat. You
I
know
feel
how
like-
much I
oh
hate.
my
There's a lot of
God,
farts
dude.
going on in.
Oh no! Those days I go. I eat differently because I do not want to
All
do that.
greens.
But like, the first time I tried it, I was like, fine, I'm gonna do it once just to say I did it. And I was worried. I was like, I bring my water. I might leave the room.
I'd be in the
And
back.
I was in the back corner. I was like, and then it packed. Like they should normally fit 3 rows. They fit 4, and everyone was literally like,
Oh man, it's touching sweats.
yeah. Me and my 2 friends went, and I got to a point where I was like, I'm gonna die. And I would take breaks. I would drink my water and stuff because I was like, I will pass out. But then when I thought it was over, when I was like, I can't go anymore, we're at the halfway point probably, right? It was like an hour class. They're like, all right, we're winding down now. We got another like 5 or 10 minutes. I was like, I made it. And I was like fucking dripping. And then like the end of every yoga class, you just lay down, eyes closed, and you just lay there like
In
a
the
block.
heat.
Just like me before the podcast.
And like something happened, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like all I felt, because the music is kind of like mellow, the room is like colored dimly, and like I was just like, even laying there, it was just like, I'm like, I have ceased to be, and I legit was like, I'm melting away, and I'm becoming anew, and I felt like I had my eyes closed, and I'm like, what the fuck, and like it all just like everything went away, and I was like, it's just me.
Meditation.
And then like it ended, and then when the
like
class ended, and I was like, oh my god, what happened?
It's like that anime version where you just like drop of water comes up, and then you're just like, like a realization.
And like when the class ended, I was like, that was fucking like that was like a trip. And I told my friend, I'm like, dude, I transcended. Like I was like the phoenix, ashes
like
and reborn.
Natural high,
and it was because we reached such a high heat. Because I was like, I need to see if this happens again. So I went next time, and it wasn't as hot, and it wasn't as hard, so I wasn't sweating as much, and I didn't transcend.
Or you just got better.
No, not even that. I thought that I was like, did I get better? I'm like, nah. No, that was I had to do that shit.
All of a sudden, you start breathing fire.
No. The second one, I was like, it didn't take me high enough.
Yeah.
I gotta hit the critical point.
Damn.
So then I went to a third one. I'm like, I
like,
think it was the class.
Crank it up, please.
So I went to the third one. It was way tougher than the second one, about the same as the first, and it was just as hot. And I was like, "Come on, take me there." And I was like, and then we finished the class, and my friend's like, "Did it get you to what you needed?" I was like, "Yeah."
Did you watch all of Mad Men?
No.
Oh, do you know the ending, right?
No.
Oh, okay, never mind. Spoil it.
And then I went a fourth time, and it was the teacher's the first time. And I was like, oh, I can't wait. I was literally just waiting for that point. And now I'm worried that I'm anticipating it so much. I'm like, when the class ended, my friend's like, did you transcend? I'm like, bro, I'm still transcending right now. So I don't know what it is, but like, I hate heat, but just like this one focused period of time of just excessive heat, I'm just like, get it all out of me. And then I feel
it's like a cleansing for you, dude.
It was weird. Dude. I'm okay. I'm good with it.
Dude, yoga's pretty tough, man.
I fucking dead. I'm like They're doing weird binds. They're like, do this through your knee.
Do they want you to do push-ups before you go to a different position? Like,
sort of. You do a slow, and you
do
go.
You feel like out of all those fours, do you have to intermediate or anything like that, or can you be a beginner?
You could be a beginner.
One of my friends went to the fourth one. And he'd only done yoga once before, and he's not very flexible.
You do your best.
And that's the thing. Whenever I can't do shit, I just stand there. I hate teachers that are like, no, you can't drink. And I was worried it was going to be like that. And they were like, do you?
Well, fuck, it's hot as shit. Fuck yeah, dude. You're
just sitting there.
Someone just comes to class, sits down, I'm doing me. And just sits there and doesn't do shit.
But I like it, yeah. So anyway, wanted to mention that because I forgot to mention that before. I'm going to keep going. So yeah, my topic, Mindhunters, is the show. It's set in the 60s, 70s with all these historical characters, but it is a fictional story of them, of like how they meet them and all this stuff. So I was wondering, for you guys, in terms of storytelling, what historical moments, events, people or whatever would you like to see captured within some sort of like story or show or movie or something that you either have seen or want to see in a different way or however it is? I can start with one if you.
I thought of one when we were talking about this a little bit earlier. Enron. This was the American utilities company that was essentially saying that there wasn't enough power, charging people more, when in reality they were like shutting down systems to make it seem like they were running out of power. And it was just this huge thing where they were also faking profits. They were saying like, yeah, we're making $500 million when they weren't even making that much. And it was just a huge scandal. And this is something I was always so interested in. And I almost like forgot what it was, what the company was called, because I was looking up Exxon, and I'm like, and there's also an Exxon scandal thing going on. So I was like, fuck, this isn't the one. Is it so long ago that they like forgot about the original one? But it's because it was called Enron, the original company.
Yeah. That'd be interesting.
It was in 2000. Well, it was what bankruptcy happened in December 2001.
Okay.
So yeah, man, and screwed over a ton of employees because they were suggesting to employees like, yes, get your bonuses in stocks or whatever, and company fucking went up. Yeah, and it's all that shit's gone.
Yeah,
So
that'd be very interesting to see how they capture.
Yeah, that company
Or-
was completely fucking corrupt, dude. It's
Yeah,
insane.
Jay.
The Korean War, and more in terms of how the U.S. and Russia were kind of like puppeteers for the peninsula, because it was more like a propaganda thing. It was
Yeah.
like Cold War, so
Yeah,
like Russia, what made North Korea was because Russia sided with the North Koreans, and how the war went crazy, like it went back and forth. But just like the inner politics of like the governments like working there, like a
So like high level stuff.
yeah, just like the political puppeteering of just the Cold War for that region.
I could see that being like done in a House of Cards kind of style, in the sense that like you're seeing him involved in all these places. You could see a main protagonist of some sort followed through that period. That'd be interesting. You guys went like more big.
I went something small for my comedy one. But
I have a few smaller ones. So one of them was like I would want the fighting game community around the time period of the Daigo Justin Wong moment, where it was thriving. It had a scene and everything, and just like not sort of gangstery, but just like I want to see that like life
U.S. versus Japan?
Huh?
U.S. versus Japan? Or
Well, just like I would want people like either in U.S. or from Japan or just like in a neighborhood getting involved in their fighting game community at that time period, and like they would have their stories and they would have interesting moments of like, oh shit, Street Fighter 3 Alpha just came out, and they're like getting into that and they have rivalries and stuff, and then there would be moments where they would be like, hey, we're gonna go see this tournament, and they're like, and then you as the viewer are like, oh shit, they're about to witness Evo moment, and like it's a part of it. It's like in the background.
Have you heard of the documentary Bang the Machine?
Yeah. No, I like a lot of the documentaries, but I would love to see like just like a fictional story capturing that essence, but like telling their own sort of thing. And most of my other picks are in that same kind of thing. Did you have any guys?
The other one I had was when I incorrectly searched for Enron, Exxon, because they did. There's this whole thing for I think it was 2007 or something like that. They were lying about climate change. They were saying that it's not a thing. There's no damage to climate change, and they obviously this is like an oil company just keeping everything on the low because they want to continue doing stuff with fossil fuels, which is found out to cause issues with the climate and stuff like that. So that's another one that I would like to know more of, and because that's still not even like that hasn't even hurt them in a sense. Like they're still a thriving company and still doing what they need to do, and this is just starting coming to light, and there still hasn't been anything done with it. Like we're just like we'll move forward apparently, and no repercussions for these people.
Yeah, it's relevant.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah.
My comedy one would be Prince stories, because like Dave Chappelle did that two Prince skits, but I heard that Prince is really like those stories are really weird. Like I was hearing one about Jimmy Fallon talking about like Prince challenged him to table tennis, and then one of Prince's like entourage was like, he's really good at table tennis, right? And Jimmy Fallon's like, what? And then they start playing, and he's just like well, I don't know what 21-6-0, whatever the score is, but the very last hit. Like Prince like slams like yeah, and then the ball hits and Jimmy misses it, and he's like oh, and he goes to pick it up, and Prince is gone, and he's like that's fucking weird. Like and he never saw him again. Like he just hit it and just disappeared. Like
I've heard ones where he's done like recordings with people and he just locks away the fucking song and never fucking releases it and shit.
So he has a whole bunch of covers.
Yeah.
That it's still locked up in vaults and it's not released. But they would make so much money if they can get the rights.
Yeah.
Republished.
One of my other ones was I would want to see the video game development scene around the time of either one of these two. I would want it either focused around the id Software when Doom was coming out in the early 90s with like John Carmack,
Romero.
Who?
Romero.
And like maybe not following them, but that would be part of it, their tension and their back and forth and their collaboration, but also just like that culture of like violent video games You know, because I mean, we've brought it up. It's always going to come up of violent video games is
Yeah.
too much or is the cause of stuff. But that would be one period. Or an equal, I think it would capture the same essence is when Grand Theft Auto 3 comes out. And it would follow a company, either Rockstar or like Rockstar, and like show the things they do in the company of like maybe how crunch is within a game company as big as them. It could show the industry, how that is at that time. It could also show how the culture is at that time with like the ESRB, violent video games, you know, shootings happening and how, you know, politics gets involved in that and how games and all these things get like thrown in. I think it'd be an interesting way to like navigate through the video game industry in those periods. I think both of those were pivotal.
Dude, in that vein, like I would, like a documentary on Duke Nukem, dude. Like, holy shit, man.
The
They
creation
used
of
to rule the world because they would license their graphics
Yeah.
engine.
That's
And
insane.
that's how
dude.
much money
And they
they
just
make.
lost all the money trying to continuously redo fucking Duke Nukem with all the new technology.
And it finally came out. And
yeah, oh god. That was a game purchase I saw my friend get and
Holy
immediately
fuck.
be like, I regret
People had that shit pre-ordered for like
years.
years.
Johnny?
we don't know the details, but it's in the game industry. Konami and Kojima's split. What happened? I mean, if they don't know the details, maybe speculation.
It should be done in like a sort of like mysterious way where it's like, and we still don't know. Like it was everything building up to it.
It should be
and
like-
then you don't know what happened, and then the aftermath. You're like,
Fact or fiction? That was. It just comes up. I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious, man.
Yeah. That's a good one. I like that.
yeah. The one of the other ones I had, it could go one of two ways, depending on whether it's Twitch or whether it's YouTube. But I would want to see a show dramatize vlogging, the beginnings of vlogging and the early vloggers, and then like over time show like the big names in like the entrepreneurs of vlogging, like the Casey Neistats, the PewDiePies, and all those people taking like vlogging and YouTube to become this platform that it is today. Or the same thing with like streaming and Twitch and like following the beats. Like, what is this? And like it doesn't have to be like serious. I want it to be like historical in the sense that you're seeing figures that played a part in the
In
role
the vein of like Jersey Shore, you follow like five people and shit.
Oh, no.
It'll be like that Smash documentary where it shows the big players
Oh.
of early YouTube.
Well, like I'm thinking like I don't know what's a good example. Like for instance, Silicon Valley. Have you heard of that show?
Yeah. Mhm.
They make fun of like Facebook by having this company called Hooli, and they have this guy who's like a visionary, but he's like pompous, and he's like like fucking work for me, kid, like dogs, and like sort of that, or like maybe like something like The Social Network, but not through Mark Zuckerberg's eyes, but
Yeah.
like through someone working with him, and like how that started or how
Gotcha.
how they met. Like in the Mark Zuckerberg, The Social Network, he meets Napster and he meets all these other people. So it's like,
oh yeah, I do remember that.
yeah,
Who played?
Justin Timberlake.
I knew it was so. Damn.
But like it could show like and then it's like they discuss like, hey, we're seeing a vision of where our culture is going, and they're like setting up where things go, and like
Yeah.
I think that could be interesting.
Yeah, I like that one too.
And I had one last one.
I
and
don't have another one.
It was the arcade scene, and I wanted it to be about the people vying for high scores, and maybe we run into Billy Mitchell and like see his rise. Maybe he's the protagonist or not.
Well, there's also that whole scandal, right?
Yeah,
with the-
well, I mean, the King of Kong was all
Yeah.
about that, and then they went into it more later. But like, I
Tom
want like
Galaxies.
those people like that are always there playing games, and like what are their personal stories, and how did arcades and arcade competitions like impact their lives or take away from their lives or whatever. I think it comes some cool stories.
I have
Yeah.
one more. Console Wars. Like Nintendo
Yeah,
versus
yeah.
Sega. This is one of the pettiest things ever that Sony did to Sega to kill the Dreamcast. So Dreamcast was releasing on this month, September 9, 1999. Sony decides to release Final Fantasy VIII on that same day and kills them. That was the nail in the coffin. But
Mamada.
I don't know, just petty stuff. Because I think the game industry has done some petty stuff to each
yeah.
other. Like TurboGrafx 16. Or no, not Sega Genesis. They would dog on the Super Nintendo. Oh, we got bit processing, bro. Bit processing.
There was that one moment at E3 where like because they made a big deal of how Xbox was making it hard to give each other games, and Sony was like, "Hey, I want to let you play my game." Here. Cool. Thanks. That's how you let people play each other's games.
Burn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shit like that.
In console worlds, I got burnt, dude, because I had an option to get either a PlayStation 1 or a Sega. I went with Sega.
Dreamcast?
No.
Genesis?
Or no, it was like Nintendo. I don't remember what it was, but I ended up getting a Sega.
What's wrong with Sega?
And
The 8-bit Sega, not Genesis?
yeah, the 8-bit Sega. It was back in the day.
I love that thing.
But it led me to play fucking Chaka Khan, or what the fuck was it called? I don't remember the name of it.
Kid Chameleon?
No. You play like a vampire essentially. It's not Castlevania, but it's in the same vein. Like it's like that. It's like a side scroller. You have different abilities that you can switch out or whatever.
Good shit.
And that was it's like it's such a good game.
No, you didn't get burned. I remember a friend had a TurboGrafx 16. That guy got
If you got a Neo Geo, you got burned.
Dude, I remember I always wanted one because like they had like the arcade games. You know, they had fucking what was it, Metal Slug and shit like that.
I remember reading in the game magazines. Remember the 3DO? I thought that looked cool. I didn't get it, but I was like, damn, this shit looks cool.
I bought Virtual Boy way back when.
Ooh.
That burned.
It's a personal choice. But yeah, that's all I had for
That
mine.
damaged my eyes.
I think all these would be like, there's cool stories to tell, and then you could tell them with that backdrop.
Mm-hmm.
And I think your guys is equally so. Do you want to go to the final topic?
The final countdown.
Oh, shit. I thought we were done for some strange reason.
Like, all right, it's over. All right, thanks, guys.
Oh, yeah. So recently, GameStop they freaking laid off a lot of workers. Stock hasn't been doing too well. The company's not doing too well. But according to a financial dude who was in The Big Short, played by Christian Bale, I don't know his real name, he actually believes in... Okay, first of all, we're not making any recommendations for financial advice, right? So do not.
We're not a financial
So
podcast.
I used to like
That's a good point.
intern for a stockbroker, and we're supposed to say that we don't make recommendations. So we're not making any financial recommendations. But the guy from The Big Short said to play GameStop stock as long. He believes in the financials, and he believes that because of console sales, the future console sales, upcoming console sales, that it's going to do well.
And it specifically states like because it'll be physical still. Physical games.
Physical games, and he likes the financials. Like
He also mentioned something about the streaming dovetailing and how that narrative is going to play an impact in things.
Right.
That was the other thing you mentioned.
So your thoughts on how is GameStop going to do?
The thing is, like,
Preach.
No, I try. I'm also trying to do the stock game thing, you know. And so you'll look into it. You'll see like a lot of different people will start out like this guy who's, you know, he's figured out that this company has all made billions of dollars. He made money off of those companies. But the thing is, it's always a guess. It's never a for sure thing. So like, whenever they use that as a backing, like this guy, you know, called out Uber, called out these companies. It's still just a guess. Like, it's never for sure. And so I'm sure if I research it more, you'll find the companies that they also called out that didn't make any money because he's still a victor. So he's still making that. He's making the information available that he figured these other companies out, but never the ones that went down. So I think this is similar. Like, he's known for calling out the Big Short thing, but this, you know, it's still a for sure. It's still not a for sure. And it could get huge. It could get big. I mean, you know, you could buy stocks for, I don't know how much they are now, $10, and possibly they'll go back up to 20 and you can double it or whatever. But I don't know. It's just a risk that people can take. And I don't know. It's stuff that I don't try to fall into. Because whenever you fall into something that you think is that easy.
Well, what's going to go bad for you if you do it now? It's $5, right?
Well, yeah. I've bought
I'm not saying get like 1,000 of these things.
I bought a penny stock. A weed one essentially, and it was 49 cents a stock.
Penny stocks are so risky.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's looked into the financials.
The reason why I bought into this one was there was just a lot of reports about what this company is doing, what they plan on doing, and like I was like, dude, if this shit gets legalized, this is fantastic. This company is probably going to soar with all these things it plans on doing. But it's always just, I don't know, it's just hype. It's just information. It's just, it's ideas that aren't for sure, you know, but they say it because it'll make people think like if that is true, that's gonna be huge. That shit dropped to $12 or 12 cents a stock.
From penny?
No,
49
penny
cents.
penny stocks don't necessarily mean they're a penny.
Oh, you mentioned okay.
So it was
49 to
49
12.
cents, down to 12 cents. And yeah, it's just cruising at 12 cents. So I mean, I've lost.
Do you
Essentially,
feel like you lost a lot of?
Oh, it's like $15 or something like that. It's not much, but I mean,
Okay.
I don't know. It's.
I'm just saying, when you're saying it's gonna like pray people out of their things, I don't think it's that. My just on the touch of that, I don't think it's a lot to be preyed upon. Like, okay, I lost however, like it's up to me to decide how many shares I get, but it's like $5 a share. It's not like, okay, Apple went from 200 to 100. I'm gonna drop like a bunch of hundreds on them.
Right.
I feel like that's a larger sum. Anyway,
No, yeah, I see what you're
digressing.
saying.
If you were, let's say he sees something though that we're not seeing about GameStop. What I want, like, that's where I went with my thought was like, what does he see about GameStop and the culture and the forecasts of things that could, like, let's say there is a spotlight and we don't see it. What would that be?
What's great? He called the subprime mortgages. That gives me like so much more respect. Like he saw the fucking Great Recession.
The vision,
pretty much. Like I don't know. I'm like that's respect. He
So,
saw it.
like, trying to figure out what he sees with the not just GameStop, but like GameStop is one of the last remaining physical game shops. So like, what does he see with physical sales in this next, like, how things are going? Everything to me points the other way, but I'm like, what could be with this? So I tried to, like, I didn't have like huge things, but I had two things I had. And they're not huge. I don't think they'll like change everything. But one of them was like, okay, hardware. Obviously, physical hardware for consoles comes out, and everyone like will go to game stores for those. But game sales themselves, I don't think will steer this ship. So what I started thinking was like, what if GameStops became the place you go to, like, instead of ordering online for an 8-bit Do controller or an Astro headset or a Hori thing or a Razer or whatever. Mm-hmm. They offered like a appealing way to acquire any of this hardware at a GameStop. Like, not the shitty knockoff Mad Catz stuff, but the boutique third-party stuff. Because you look at third-party accessories for games of all kinds, there's much nicer stuff out now than there used to be, like, when we were growing up. And I know what you're showing.
It's GameStop stock.
Okay.
$5.
It's $3.89.
Okay.
Or 87 cents.
Cool.
Thing is, it can only go up. It can't go down. Like that's
goes to 12 cents.
But we don't. Yeah.
But I was like thinking of that, and then the other part I was thinking of was with the stream. Everything on the streaming side and the digital side requires internet, and I wonder if he knows something about U.S. law and internet that might, change paths and persuade people. Maybe he sees something in a totally other sector that's going to impact all this.
We need to have him on the podcast.
Get him. Those are my two big things. I don't know if you guys had stuff. All right, I know you've shared some. Did you? What were some of your thoughts?
I kind of want to buy some stock. I mean, not too much, but
yeah, it's not a bad price, I guess, to get into it. But it's just like with me, I the way my mentality worked was, I had heard news that what was it? Ticketmaster, who's also like, it's like different companies that are all under one, Live Nation, all that stuff. They were caught like actually paying scalpers to buy their tickets, and then so they were partnered essentially. So when the scalper sold it for more, Ticketmaster, whoever was still making profit off of that. And I was like, dude, they're gonna get caught. They're gonna go down under. So I was like, what other ticket company is there? And I was like, Eventbrite. So I literally, this is how I started stocks. Is I bought Eventbrite. It is my shittiest stock. I've lost $150 off of them.
So you're not on a good track record with stock.
Oh, well, I mean, so I also have Apple. I mean, the thing is, like, I've so far I've made, out of everything, even the money that I've lost, I am in the positive. I'm $200 above water, essentially. Overall, with every stock that I own.
The other thing I'm wondering is with these people, when they make something public, I wonder if that if the move of saying something is in itself an
It could be.
So it's like
possible.
it's shitty cost, but so he's bought in,
Yeah,
and now
so he
he's
can make
sharing,
more
and then
people
everyone
buy it.
buys in,
Yep,
and then
it's possible.
but again, it wasn't like widely reported, so it's like
I'm kind of leaning towards what you're leaning. He sees something that we don't see.
Yeah.
That's the thing. And I'm kind of curious what he sees.
Yeah.
And this guy sees in between the numbers. And
which is interesting because they just laid off a large amount of people from Informer, the magazine that the GameStop owns.
Mm-hmm.
ThinkGeek has gone off digital. It's all physical in GameStops. A rebranding. Maybe they like revamp everything and like we're streamlining all what we offer.
GameStop also took off digital content, like game wise.
What do you mean?
They don't sell like codes and anything.
Yeah, they do.
Do they?
When I went in, they were like, "Hey, if you ever want to buy digital games, we can offer you stuff on that now
he
too."
knows something.
He's like, "You'll get like the code, and
Or
we'll
is
give
it-
you."
I guess it was just Sony then, huh?
Yeah,
I think it was
Yeah, it was
just
Sony.
Sony. Okay.
Sony might have pulled out of that,
Yeah.
but like they offered it for Switch. I know that, so I can't say for all
Yeah.
stuff, but all their different consoles and stuff. But they did for some. But yeah, I'm very curious what it could be.
this could be, I mean, it's not going to be,
What's
but
up?
this could be the next Apple. Apple was at $1 at its lowest before the second revolution came. And what is it at now? 120, 130? It's probably more than that.
two,
The thing is, they offer a product.
That's true.
Like,
That's
I
true.
feel like this is a middleman. I don't
Right,
like
right.
what's the highest ticket. Could it go to like a what are other like an Amazon? I don't know.
So 5 years ago, the lowest it was like around $90. It is at 212 right now, and it is a stock that
And
I own.
GameStop has had conventions, so they've dabbled in that. I wonder if they get into the esports, and that they get investors that way, or something. I feel like
everyone's going streaming.
yeah,
Maybe.
but then like what?
streaming service.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean,
Like
but,
for a storefront point of view.
yeah, I don't know. I always feel like we always try to like as people we try to like think things through, and then if we don't have a way to explain it, we just assume like, oh, this, he saw something we couldn't have, and I don't know. I feel like there's always more to the story. Like it was pure luck, and now that they've told the story,
Short stuff.
well, I mean,
I don't think that one was
That was,
pure luck.
that was
the thing is like
research.
that. Can you verify those facts? Like it's the
I mean,
Big
he made
Short.
money.
Right. He
A
made
lot.
That's
He
the
bet
truth. is
against-
he
But
made money.
it wasn't like it wasn't like a quick let's just do this. It was
Right.
like based on all this numbers,
Right.
I've determined a pattern,
Yeah.
and on that pattern, which is like you can't find that pattern on happenstance. So I don't.
know. I understand. Like it wasn't just a quick decision, but the thing is, like, even though he did all this work, it was still like there's a chance it might not happen. There's a chance it might happen.
He bet
And-
big though. That was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go big or go broke, dude.
Yeah, he's in the negative for a long time, right? And he was just avoiding. I mean, that's what like the Big Short shows. He was avoiding having to pay people, and eventually it went under, and he was needed to get that money after. But I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe he is seeing something we don't see, but
I'm just speculating. Let's move away from him seeing something or not. What could you do to move? Like, what could GameStop do to change things around? Like, take that was just like for me the
Yeah.
prompt to get this going. But like, did you have thoughts on that?
I do think that moving away from online would be because GameStop still has an online store itself, GameStop, but that requires people that are working and need to like package, like when you buy something online, it has to, they require more people that are working that will package a box and stuff like that. I think that, I don't know where I'm going with this. It's just because you look at me, you're just like, I don't understand it. And I don't know how to
No.
explain
I'm
it.
not. I'm just asking.
No, I know, but I'm trying to figure out like a
Okay.
good way to explain it, and it gets tough. Has nothing to do with it.
I'm not-
But I feel like you're making it worse now, dude. No, there's nothing you can do.
I get
that'll
it.
help.
Here.
No. I think online business, there is a lot of upfront cost to that, essentially. And I think if they're bleeding that much, that's something that they can remove and just have physical stores, because all it requires is for them to receive shipments, and they already have these stores. The online thing, I don't know if they have like warehouses that are extra from their GameStop stores that ship stuff. But if that's the case, obviously having an online presence and having those extra warehouses, that's more cost, and that's more. I don't know how much money they're making off of just an online presence.
So you're telling me they should get rid of their website?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that would turn things.
I mean, I'm not saying if that would turn things around, but I feel like that could be a thing. I mean, there's more to it. You have to like what the profits are between online versus retail. I don't know any of that, but I'm speculating that maybe they're bleeding on an online sense.
Okay.
And that could be a thing they can look at, but that's speculation because I don't know what their numbers are. They're corporate.
Sure. I'm just like if for you as a purchaser of stuff, or any of us, why, like, what could GameStop do to make you want to like go to their store more?
I don't think anything.
Like that like would them, like, if you were like, oh, I could pre-order this online, like, no, I can't, and then you would go to the store, that's why I'm like I'm asking that. I'm trying to, like, what else could they do? Like OC Street Pass, I remember that's like if I wanted to go to GameStop, they had events. That was something that I was like, okay, that's something you guys have that like Best Buy and Target and all these other places don't have. Pre-order exclusives, that was the other thing.
Which I think is horrible.
Okay.
I like them. Some of them.
Okay.
Death Stranding stuff. Can't complain. Baby in a bottle.
Maybe in the bottle. Okay. I don't know.
What would you do?
I already said.
They would have to see. You said not go online.
I said all this stuff. The 8-bit dough, the third party.
You said not go online. They had to double down on the online drop shipment because I think e-commerce is the future, and so they would have to do stuff like Amazon does 2-day, but like make sure the game comes to your house on that day.
On release day.
On release day.
Because you're competing against digital sales when they're preloaded. I mean, there could be bugs, but yeah, you got, like, if someone's got all that, like, why would you get this then?
I think in the long term, GameStop's not going to survive because digital will be the norm. Like everything.
Yeah, in like 5+ years.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe. Yeah,
because like we had talked about before with like Stadia, like they could be all these things, but if like our internet costs as much as it does now for like data and stuff, then it's not keeping up with it. Now it'll get there, but it's not there yet. So I'm thinking 5 years is a safe place to say like, oh, our internet, like we're on 5G now. All these games use 4G. 4G, prehistoric.
Like the Switch, dude. I'm all digital, pretty much. 99%.
How much of your memory card
130 more gig. Dude, so that 1 terabyte?
You have a 1 terabyte?
No. There's a 1 terabyte?
Yeah.
Costs like $450.
Black Friday.
Yeah.
$20.
I wish.
I had to reinstall all my games. It took 24 hours. I didn't reinstall all of them though, because there was like a few games I'm like, I'm not playing.
Yeah, exactly.
But I put most of them back on because I was like, my saves, are they there? Are they there? Even though it said they were, I was like, are they there?
They're also backed up, right?
Yeah.
Into the cloud.
Yeah. Everything was backed up. So like I turned it on and I tried to load up something and it was like, oh yeah, here's your save, ready to go. So.
Yeah, but personally, for me, I don't feel like there's anything they can do to get me back. And that's usually when I answer a question, that's how I think. It's like, what would they do to get me as a person back? And I would explain like an answer that way. But I don't see anything they could do that would bring me as a customer back to them. Okay. They've lost me already.
See you GameStop.
It's too late.
Blizzard, hey, what's up?
If Blizzard bought them out.
Blizzard partners with Activision partners with GameStop.
Loot box.
EA, it's in the GameStop.
The way they can get me back in is if I can only play World of Warcraft within their stores. That's the only way I'll go back. GameStop, I have a way to save you.
Are you guys gonna buy? I guess the final question: are you guys gonna buy some stock?
Maybe. I still have one stock in WWE. I got it at, what is it now? WWE stock.
How much did you buy it? What was it at when you bought it?
It was at $30. It's at $74.
Nice.
I had 7 stock. I sold the other 6. I was like, I'll keep one.
Did you sell the 6 when you were at a profit for you?
Like a few dollars. It went shit down.
Yeah.
I was like, what did I do? I didn't know what I was doing. And then it went back to like a few dollars before above it. I was like, all right, I want out. I don't like this anymore. And I got my money and I was like, all right. And then I kept the one. And like, I just don't, I forget it's even there. Like,
Yeah.
I just remembered now that I had it.
That Eventbrite one, I bought it at $50 a stock. It had gone up a little bit and then it started dropping. And it went down to like 45. So it was the $5 off, like each stock. And I'm like, I'm gonna hold on to it. We'll see what happens. It dropped down to like $30. And I'm like, I'll keep holding on to it. We'll see what happens. And then fucking out of nowhere, it just went down to like $15 a stock. And I'm like, wow, this is like, I've literally lost almost everything I've had on that specific stock. It's going back up now slowly. It's at $19, but I've held on to the thing the whole time because it's not money lost until I actually sell it or it goes under.
I like the Warren Buffett way of investing. 100 years from now, what company would still be here? So stocks that I had, I don't have any. I sold them all. Majority was in Coke. That shit pays 3% every year, and it's gone up.
Yeah, I'm getting dividends off of AT&T and Apple.
Had Disney, only one share. That's gone up. And McDonald's. And I don't have any of those stocks anymore. But I would still invest in Coke. I would put majority of my money in Coke because I still see it. Those three, I see it 100%. 100 years from now, it's still there.
Yeah, I think Coke is a beverage company. Holy fuck, dude. That's just
They got water now, guys. Change the game.
They got the
Bathwater?
the basics for life.
Bathwater. There's a chapter in Bathwater.
There it is. It's one of the last chapters. If you get that far.
Endgame. Bathwater.
Where can people find you guys?
They can find me at the Filia everywhere, but not really.
At the Last Bosses everywhere.
You can find me at Kujiro Prime. You can find us all at the Weekly DLC. Hope you enjoyed this episode 133. Next week is 134, which is something, right?
It's not.
90 times 2?
Isn't it?
130? Is it 134?
138.
138.
What?
Isn't it? 69 times 2, dude.
Yeah, 130. Okay, never mind. It'll be another normal episode, but in a few weeks, 69 times 2. Twice the mouthful.
Twice.
And then until next time, we'll
DLC.
You later.